What's up, everybody? Hopefully you guys are doing good as always. Today I'm making a video about attacking the f7 pawn. I'm talking about the f7 pawn specifically because it's known to be the weakest pawn that black has, as it's only protected or defended by the black king and no other minor or major piece. But before we begin, I do ask that you check out a brand new website I just launched that you can find at www.chessgeek.org. Like I said, f7 is considered to be the weakest pawn black has because it's only defended by the king. And so today we're going to be looking at how you can take advantage of this and attack f7. The first thing that I want to talk about is the f2 square. So f7 is the square that you want to be looking to attack as white, but f2 is a square that black will be looking to attack because it is basically, white f7 because it's only defended by the king. So everything that I say on f7, try to limit your opponent from doing on f2, okay? But the first thing that I'm going to be talking about is e4 versus d4. Okay, when you play e4, you are going to try to attack f7 because e4 allows for the light square bishop to attack f7. It allows for the queen in some variations to attack f7, whereas d4 does not allow this as much. The light square bishop cannot really attack it. The queen cannot attack it. But the biggest difference that happens with e4 and d4 is that with e4, you're going to be usually faced with e5. And e5 allows for this bishop, once the bishop gets this diagonal, it allows this bishop to be a very nice bishop, as no longer will a move like e6 ever occur that will stop this bishop from being able to attack f7. So with the move e5, you're making, or black is making it so f7 is less protected. Whereas if we look at the move d5 after d4, now d5 is protecting f7 because even if you manage to get a bishop on this diagonal, there's obviously going to be this pawn in the middle. So if you play, okay, so this video is not meant to be like a don't play d4 type of video because, d4 is a wonderful opening and there's many other weak squares that you can take advantage of, okay? But what I am trying to say is that if you play e4, understand that your main goal will be to attack this f7 pawn. And understand that, if you don't look to attack it, then you're kind of wasting the e4 move. Okay, so understand that when you play e4, look to attack the f7 square. And when you play d4, just try to get other developing moves and try to make more dangerous attacks on the queen side rather than on the king side. Okay, so that's the first thing that you need to understand. Okay, will I be able to really attack f7 as easily with whichever opening I choose? So now let me show you an example that really demonstrates how you can attack f7 heavily with the start of e4. So e4, e5, and now let's suppose that you end up playing bishop out here, and now your opponent ends up playing this move. And now let's suppose that you decide to develop a pawn, maybe eventually try to look to a pawn break, and your opponent plays this move, fianchettoing the bishop maybe, and now you develop your knight and your opponent pins it. This looks fairly normal. It isn't the most common line with e4, but it is still a fairly normal line. But this would be a blunder by black because now you're already allowing for the weakness of f7 to take advantage of for you to take advantage of the f7 weakness, because by this move you're putting two pieces on a battery on f7 where it's only protected by the king. So this weak square is now very heavily attacked, but also there's a secondary attack on this pawn because the bishop has now been drawn out. So a lot of times you'll end up doing double attacks where one of them will end up being f7 because it's very weak. It only needs two things to attack it. Additionally, with f7 you can eventually attack more pieces on it, but this is already a big threat and you'll end up winning a pawn. Let me show you another example that I'm actually going to be pulling from memory. It's known as the Danish Gambit, I believe, and I believe it goes like that. You end up gambiting a lot of pawns. I actually made a video about this not too while ago, and I'll leave it linked above if you want, if you're interested. But this is the Danish Gambit. You're gambiting some pawns for the development of both bishops. And now, one of the common lines is this, but it's a mistake because after the knight protects, let's say black were to play this move here over d6, well, now it's already allowing for the f7 weakness to, happen again. Because white, you can take advantage of this, and rather than double attacking two pawns, now you're doubling attacking this bishop and this pawn here. So again, the f7 pawn being attacked with the start of e4. Okay, And, black can take, sure, that's probably the best way to solve their problems, but it doesn't really help black because, once again, now you have a double attack on f7, and now you have a double attack also on g7, where eventually it could also win a rook. So this is a lot of pressure, okay? And the Danish Gambit is very smooth like this, so I would recommend also learning about the Danish Gambit. But the video today is about how you can attack f7, and you've seen already 2 examples with e4, very common examples that f7 gets attacked. So that is really going to sum it up for my video. But, as a general rule of thumb, if you play e4, look to attack f7. And if you play e4, also look to defend f2 and make sure that there's never attacks on f2 that you won't be able to defend. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed and learned something about how you can attack f7. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Check out my brand new website at www.chessgeek.org, and I'll see y'all next time.